And, Lepore, we have to get into a conversation here about Zach Hyman. As we talked about, goes knee on knee with Alex Edler in that first Canucks game, and immediately you just thought the worst.
Oh yeah, total panic.
You're like, oh my God, like this could be a season-ending ACL injury, just disaster, right?
Yeah.
And listen, I don't want to be one of those people. I know how important Zach Hyman is, okay? He's a great player. He's versatile. He can do so many things. Let's not get totally carried away here thinking that, this is doom and gloom and he's the most important player on the Leafs. Like, I saw some tweets floating around being like, this is devastating. He is the engine of the team, the heart and soul. What are they going to do without Zach Hyman? Well, I don't know if you've seen, they have a fucking Hart Trophy candidate in Austin Matthews who has 34 goals and is scoring at like a 65 goal pace. So, if they lost a player like that or Mitch Marner, it would be a different story. But Lepore, give me your thoughts on this Hyman injury. Like, are you concerned about this? Because they said that it's going to be a minimum of 2 weeks, but as I mentioned, it's the same knee that he tore his ACL on a couple of years ago. So who knows? I mean, it could be 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And who knows how he's going to feel when he comes back, right? So what, are you concerned at all about this Hyman injury as we're heading into the stretch run and into the playoffs?
You mentioned his importance, like, when all that stuff was going around about Hyman, like one of the metrics guys I follow was like, well, based on data, Zach Hyman is like the 7th most important player on the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's debatable even if he should go lower. So it's just kind of funny. Everyone's like total panic reaction. But I guess my first thing was, so he fell, it looked bad. I had some relief because on the bench, you saw him like walking, you saw him putting weight on it. And then a quote quickly came out from Tavares saying that he was pretty positive in the locker room and he didn't think it was that bad. And then we're all pins and needles waiting for that tweet from Leafs PR the next day telling us how bad it was going to be. But the thing I think I was like a lot of Leafs fans in the way that I was just hoping, okay, playoffs, be back for the playoffs, maybe have a game or two before the playoffs. So we have about 2 more weeks left in the regular season. And it was in the first game of those, will be 3 weeks total. And they said at least 2. So we should be okay. I mean, I don't really care about him missing regular season games. And to be honest, they'll probably give him more time than he needs, like just to avoid all risk. So am I worried about it? No. Like, I mean, it affects the lineup because, like, I'm going to use an old school term here. Hyman's a glue guy, like, for the team, and you can put him anywhere in the lineup, and he works. It seems like even the data and metrics show that he works well with any line he plays with. So that sucks. But like these last 8 games we have, like, who really cares? Like, I don't want to see the Leafs go 0-8, but let's just get healthy and get into the playoffs with maybe a little bit of momentum. But I'm just hoping things come together going into the playoffs. And like I said, everyone's healthy. So I don't really know what there is to be afraid of other than it's worse than we were initially told at the end of the day.
Yeah. And like you said, all that matters right now is the playoffs. And listen, everybody, the division's a wrap at this point. The Leafs have 8 games left, an 8-point lead over the Winnipeg Jets. Like, just even thinking about it from like a mathematical perspective, like, it's going to take an epic collapse here to not win the division at this point.
Yeah.
So really, yeah, I mean, I that was my first thought as well with Zach Hyman. It's just like, please be ready for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if this is going to be like a 6 to 8 week injury, or, like I mentioned, if this is, God forbid, is a torn ACL and he's done for the season, that would suck. And it's because when I look at the addition of Nick Foligno, and we'll get into this a little bit later in the show with Foligno making his Leafs debut, is that I didn't necessarily think that he was going to get slotted in on that first line. I think in the playoffs, the ideal Leafs first line is going to be Matthews, Marner, and Hyman. And, maybe it's obviously it's good that Foligno came in at the trade deadline and he can fill that Hyman role. But I think when you think about the optimal Leafs lineup heading into the playoffs, I see Foligno playing a little bit further down the lineup, Hyman in that top 6. So that was the one thing that I was concerned about. But considering that the Leafs are saying it's going to be a minimum of 2 weeks, so let's say it takes them 4 weeks. Let's say, like, worst case scenario, I don't know, he misses the first 2 games against, whoever they play in the first round, whether it's the Habs or the Canucks or Flames. And we'll get into that too later in the show. But I mean, yeah, worst case scenario, he misses the beginning of the first round. I mean, let's say absolute worst case scenario, he misses the first round. I think the Leafs can get through the first round series without Zach Hyman.
Yeah, like, I think it's that whole thing to me anyway. It's just about luck. Like, I hate to break it to everyone, but to make a run in the playoffs and win it all, if you want to go even that far, you need luck. And part of luck is just staying healthy. Like, I don't mean luck 100%. In the way of bullshit balances. Like, you need on the ice luck and off the ice luck. And again, we were saying before how like people were exaggerating Hyman's importance to this team, but at the same time, not having Hyman can make you 2% worse. Well, 2% worse is, and it could be more. I'm sure people are already flipping out like, oh, it's way more important than that. But what I'm just saying is, even if it's a small percentage worse without Hyman, that could be the difference. And you, again, like I said before, it's just the emphasis on being healthy. Like right now, I'm just hoping that this team to me has shown who they are, and they're not going to change my mind both in either in a positive way or a negative way, regardless of what happens the rest of the way. So to me, it's just about having the best lineup they can possibly have going into the playoffs. And to me, that's my only mindset with the Hyman thing. And like I said, the team as a whole.
No, 100%. And that's the thing, right? Like leading up to the playoffs, you want to be able to have your optimal lineup out there, and you want to have Sheldon Keefe, have different options and try things out leading into the playoffs, right? Because we've actually seen him do that, specifically with the D-core, where he's changed some of the pairings, and even up front, right? He's always making tweaks. And, going into the playoffs, you want all your guys to be healthy. So the different lineup combinations that you could have based on the matchup, based on the in-game situation. So yeah, it definitely hurts not having Zach Hyman in the lineup, but this is not a catastrophe. This isn't something that the Leafs aren't going to be able to overcome. This is not like losing Austin Matthews or Mitch Marner. This is something that the Leafs, I think, are going to be able to deal with, even if, like I said, worst case, he misses maybe the entire first round of the playoffs. But
which game was it? Was it the second game against Vancouver when off the opening faceoff, Matthews fell backwards?
That scared the shit out of me.
Oh my God. I almost think like that wasn't talked about enough. Like he fell awkwardly backwards and like his knee kind of snapped. Like in that split second, I'm like, well, the season's over. Like wrap it up, let's go home.
When they showed the slow-mo of that, I was like, oh my God. Like this could have been a disaster.
Yeah. I think it's always something stupid and fluky like that when there's like a catastrophic injury, like you said. But man, like thank God. Oh, geez.
Oh God, that would have put everyone in Leafs Nation into a complete tailspin. That would have been rough.
Yeah, I said we were on pins and needles waiting for that tweet from Leafs PR about Hyman. Imagine Matthews.
Oh my God, just would have been a disaster.